February 17, 1000. 9:44. The river was frozen. 40,000 Germans charged the Gniloy Tikich. Behind them 19,000 already dead. The kill chain. At the kill chain we dissect command decisions. The relief force stopped 5 kilometers short. Why? Zetterling and Franzen. Army Group South's defining unauthorized transmission. 4 words. Transmitted at 23:0. No Hitler authorization. The pocket began with a salient nobody wanted. January 4, 1000. 9:44. Manstein faces Hitler at Führer HQ. The Dnieper line is untenable. The salient must go. Hitler. Korsun is a fortress on the Dnieper. Hold. What strikes us, Manstein made this argument twice before. January 24. Konev's Twand Ukrainian front opens its artillery. 4 days of bombardment, then the double envelopment executes. January 28. Pinchers close at Zvenigorodka. 59,000 encircled. XI Corps. XXX-2A Corps. The 5th SS Panzer Viking sealed. General Stemmermann assumes command of all encircled forces. The pocket, 5 miles by 3 miles. 59,000 men. The Luftwaffe resupply begins. It fails almost immediately. Soviet air superiority degrades the airlift within 1 week. Men eat horses. Morphine runs out by February 5th. The Ivan Corps medical records show an unambiguous picture. Amputations without anesthetic. Frostbite casualties exceed combat wounds. Manstein requests emergency withdrawal. Hitler refuses on February 2nd. Consider the position this created. What would you choose? You command 59,000 trapped men, 5 kilometers from relief. Do you wait for authorization or act without it? Manstein chose. 40,000 lives at stake on open ground. Operation Conrad launched February 4th. General Breith commanding. Bäke's Tigers moved. 59,000 waited. The math was unforgiving. By February 8, Bäke destroys over 200 Soviet tanks. The terrain is catastrophic. Black Earth thaw creates chest-deep mud. Fuel convoys cannot keep pace. Bäke's tanks run dry. February 13. Bäke reaches 8 kilometers from the pocket perimeter. One day, 70 Soviet tanks destroyed. The advance stalls anyway. Konev repositions reserves. Each German thrust is met and bled. Then Hitler makes the decision that seals the pocket. The 24th Panzer Division is withdrawn from Operation Conrad. Hitler's purpose reinforcing Nikopol. Conrad fights with fewer tanks. Zetterling, the withdrawal reduced Conrad's striking power by 30%. Inside the pocket, Gil attempts a southward breakout push. Gil's Viking Division has 17 operational tanks on February 10. The Viking, European Crusade branding, foreign troops under 20%. Counterintuitive fact, the Soviets were anxious, not confident of outcome. Konev's after-action reports, he feared Conrad would succeed. Konev committed all 3 reserve formations to blocking Bäke. The outcome depended on a 3-kilometer margin. Nothing more. German memoirs, terrain, Soviet reports, deliberate force, both partially correct. February 13, 5 kilometers remain. What would you have done? Infantry assault without armor, hold and wait, accept the gap. Breith held and requested resupply. Authorization took 3 days. Inside the pocket, Stemmermann's situation deteriorates hour by hour. The perimeter shrinks. Artillery positions 2 kilometers from command posts. Most accounts miss this. The Soviet perimeter had a gap. The southwest sector, toward Lysianka, had the thinnest Soviet screen. Manstein chose Lysianka deliberately. The archive confirms the analysis. The gap between analytical choice and physical execution killed men. Stemmermann 40 exhausted men through Soviet lines. At night, he must abandon heavy weapons. Wounded who cannot walk stay. Commanders ordered to destroy everything that could not be carried. 600 wounded on supply carts. The order: keep moving. Commander: 3 weeks without sleep, he made the call. Stemmermann divided forces, Wicking in front, Corps Detachment B Center. Move before 3-0. Breakthrough. Reach Lysianka at dawn. The plan fails first. Soviet artillery detects movement almost immediately. The historical accounts diverge here in an important way. German memoirs, orderly to the river. Soviet reports, earlier collapse. We can only reconstruct from the positions of the dead. By 2-0, February 17, Gilles' men reached the river. Everything changes at the Gniloy Tikich. True cost begins here. The recon intel was wrong. 3 days changed everything. Reconnaissance reported the river fordable, shallow, crossable on foot. Partial thaw changed it, 30 feet deep, fast current. From the Soviet bank, Konev planned toward this exact moment. Konev positioned direct fire artillery covering all crossing points. The column reaches the bank. Soviet artillery has the range. Gilles' men form a human chain. The chain breaks. Hundreds swept downstream. Winter greatcoats dragged them under the current. Men stripped in -20 temperatures. Some crossed, some did not. Bäke's tanks hear the guns at Lysianka. No fuel. The 5-kilometer gap under artillery fire had become impassable. Engineering troops build footbridges. 4 hours under artillery fire. First bridge complete. 600 wounded cross on supply carts. Stemmermann moves with the rear guard toward Perchepintsy. Near Polshepintsy, a Soviet anti-tank ground finds Stemmermann's half-track. Posthumously, Oak leaves to the Knight's Cross. He never knew. Command devolves to General-Lieutenant Lieb of XXX2 Corps. Lieb's memoir, command handover was ragged. 3 hours of confusion. By dawn February 17, the column fragments into 3 groups. Gilles' group reaches Lysianka by midday. Bäke's tanks are waiting. Central group reaches the river after the bridges. Most cross. The 70th infantry rear elements cut off by Soviet cavalry. What happened to those cut-off units? Sources remain fragmentary. German memoirs claim massacre. Soviet records acknowledge pursuit combat. By February 18, the last German units reached Lysianka. Soviet postscript: Vatutin shot by UPA partisans 11 days after. February 29. RPA partisans ambush Vatutin. He dies April 15. Konev promoted to Marshal. Soviet propaganda claims 52-0 Germans annihilated. Actual German figure 19-0 killed or captured. Propaganda doubled it. 59,000 entered the pocket. 28,000 escaped. Soviet losses in the full operation, approximately 80-0 casualties. Not a cheap Soviet victory, but it was decisive. Here is the editorial judgment this operation demands. Manstein claimed Korsun as his greatest success, 28,000 saved. The survivors' accounts tell a different story about this operation. The 5-kilometer gap was not chance, 3 specific failures. Decision 1, Hitler's January refusal. The salient was his creation. Decision 2, the 24th Panzer withdrawal. Conrad lost 30%. Decision 3, Breith's 3-day delay at the 5-kilometer mark. 3 decisions combined. 19,000 men died in the gap. Gniloy Tikich, 20 to 30 yards wide, 30 feet deep. Gilles' human chain breaks. Hundreds swept under ice. Ben stripped in -20. Soviet artillery found the bank. Footbridges constructed. 600 wounded evacuated on Panthers. The river killed what Soviet steel could not finish. Korsun closed February 19. Or did survivors write next? Bäke's regiment destroyed approximately 500 Soviet armored vehicles. Relief force casualties 10-0 men, 240 tanks and assault guns. The relief force paid nearly as much as the pocket. By February 19, the Korsun Pocket ceased to exist. What historians now call a command failure, Korsun. Hitler's whole doctrine had become a mechanism for creating pockets. Manstein wrote, "A commander must act on ground truth alone." Memoir published 1955. Manstein convicted of war crimes in 1949. War College lesson. Encirclements need simultaneous inside and outside coordination. Korsun failed through synchronization. Two advances were 12 hours apart. When Stemmermann moved, Bäke was out of fuel. This synchronization failure appears across multiple historical encirclement cases. The Army War College uses Korsun as a negative example. The doctrine question: field authority versus chain of command. Manstein answered in 4 words. The Wehrmacht never codified it. The 28-0 survivors dispersed. No division recovered pre-Korsun strength. The Wiking was rebuilt. It never regained 1,944 strength. The 72nd Infantry rear elements cut off south largely perished. Exact figure unknown. The unit's war diary was lost. With the benefit of hindsight, the record is still incomplete. Stemmermann's precise cause of death: 3 sources, 3 different accounts. War diary Poshapinsi. Memoir half-track hit. Orderly, on foot. These accounts cannot be reconciled. He died in the breakout. Korsun is the clearest illustration of what that doctrine cost. This was not Stalingrad. The 28-0 survivors proved that. Password freedom corrected a catastrophe that should not have existed. The same doctrine created 11 more encirclements before war ended. Each time political immobility, logistical limits, relief force falling short. This disaster accelerated Manstein's eventual dismissal from Army Group South. Manstein dismissed March 30, 1944. 42 days after password freedom. The cold accounting is simple. What it reveals is not. 59 in, 28 out. The river kept no count. Full breakdown pinned in the comments. Decision tree and sources. Full breakdown pinned in the comments. What is your assessment?